And at the top of this hour, we're getting some breaking news. Ex-judges write to Home Minister Amit Shah for his Salwa Judum remark. After Home Minister Amit Shah said that opposition VP pick ready supports Naxalism, the ex-judges have written to Home Minister Amit Shah saying that the remark is unfortunate, and they have written this open letter to Amit Shah. This letter is written by the ex-judges and the lawyers regarding the Salwa Judum verdict and the statement which was made by Amit Shah over the judgment which was passed by the opposition's VP pick Sudarshan Reddy, and Home Minister Amit Shah has accused the opposition VP pick Reddy of supporting Naxalism through this Salwa Judum judgment.
I think Justice Nagaratna, Honorable Justice Nagaratna, and two are another judge. And they said, हम ये जजमेंट को डिस्टर्ब नहीं करेंगे, मगर उससे आगे भी हम कुछ नहीं करेंगे, तो उसको बंद कर दिए, तो पूरे के पूरे नक्सलवादी हो गए। और ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजमेंट नक्सलवादी क्या होता मुझे समझ में। एक नैरेटिव बिल्ड कर रहे हैं और उनका हक है नैरेटिव बिल्ड करने का, ठीक है। और मैं ऐसा मामलों में पढ़कर
And my colleague Anisha Mathur is now joining us on the story. Anisha, could you give us more details about this open letter that has been written by the ex-judges and the lawyers to Home Minister Amit Shah, and the exact remark which was made by Amit Shah that led to this open letter?
Well, see, Anjali, we've seen this open letter coming in from former Supreme Court and High Court judges as well as senior lawyers, who are clearly saying that this kind of narrative building, this kind of misinterpretation of a Supreme Court verdict will have a chilling effect on the judiciary. And also, as a senior minister, as a union minister, as the Home Minister, this will have such kind of remarks will have a very negative effect on how people perceive the judiciary, on how things are done in the country. What is also important to understand, Anjali, is that the 2011 verdict, where the Salwa Judum was outlawed by a two-judge bench of the Supreme Court, had gone into serious allegations of violence against civilians, violence against villagers in these particular villages, on multiple complaints being filed. And that is where the Supreme Court had said that use of private militias, use of private persons as militias, as paramilitary forces cannot be allowed. And now these judges are saying that by saying that this kind of a verdict supports Naxalism, Amit Shah is building a completely false narrative, which is not good for the country, for democracy, and it is also going to have a chilling effect on the judiciary, because judges are meant to criticize the government. Judges are supposed to, particularly High Court and Supreme Court judges, are supposed to look into the policies that have been created by the executive and look into their legality, their constitutional validity. So if on such a judgment, the Home Minister, no less, of a country then attacks the judiciary, that sends a very, very negative effect. And the judges have also said that this being a vice presidential election, such kind of statements, such kind of misinterpretation of judicial findings is inappropriate, and there needs to be and this kind of statement making needs to be kept out of the vice presidential election as well, particularly since there is a verdict of the Supreme Court based on constitutional and legal principles involved.
Right.
Back to you.
In fact, Anisha, the rebuttal that has come from Sudarshan Reddy's side is that it was a Supreme Court judgment and not his personal opinion.
Well, you see, Anjali, if you look at what has been said and what the judgment says, the judgment had gone, as I said, the judgment had gone into the allegations of violence against civilians by persons who had been earlier Maoists and then had come back and then were being used as special police operatives, which is something that the Supreme Court noted was completely illegal, completely unconstitutional, because you're effectively giving the power to conduct violence against civilians to people who are not otherwise authorized to do so. Also, because there are limitations and safeguards when it comes to actions undertaken by police or paramilitary forces, particularly in civilian areas. But these persons were not following those guidelines and safeguards, and therefore the Supreme Court had said that the use of such SPOs against even against the alleged Maoists was completely illegal, because the safeguards that are meant to protect civilians, that are meant to protect people, were not involved. Now, with the Home Minister in a vice presidential election attacking a judgment that had come out in 2011, we're in 2025 right now, and calling a judgment like this support to Naxalism, that is where these ex-judges and lawyers are saying that this kind of a statement is inappropriate, both in terms of the vice presidential election and in terms of the effect that it will have on the judiciary. They said that the discourse that is around this election, the discourse that is around a former judge who's standing as a candidate for this election, should be based, or should be civil discourse. It should not go into this kind of misinterpretation of a court verdict. Back to you.
All right, Anisha, thank you so much for getting us all those details and for that context on the open letter that has been written by the ex-judges and lawyers to Home Minister Amit Shah over his remark on the Salwa Judum verdict.